As long as you wear this chain around your neck, you will never lack money. Wealth will chase you. Every deal, every scam, every business, it will succeed. You will rise above poverty. Your family will never suffer again. Ton's eyes widened. He stared at the chain as if it were heaven itself. His heart pounded. "But, what do you want from me?" he asked cautiously. The figure leaned closer, its voice a whisper that slithered into Ton's ears. "Only one thing. You must never remove the chain. Not for a second. The day you take it off, everything will vanish." The night was quiet, but Ton's room was full of noise. The clatter of his old laptop keys, the endless buzzing of his generator, and the pounding of his own heartbeat filled the air. He sat hunched over the glowing screen, his eyes red from staring too long. Line after line of words filled the chat box. He was begging, lying, promising, pretending. "Baby, trust me. Send me just this small money. I will come to America soon," he typed. The white woman on the other end had grown cold. Her replies were short, her patience running out. "You're a liar," she finally typed. "I don't believe you anymore." Ton's heart sank. He tried again, fingers trembling as he typed, but before he could finish, the notification popped up, "You have been blocked." He froze. His chest tightened. He buried his face in his palms. Again, he whispered to himself, tears stinging his eyes. For months, he had been at this game people called Yahoo. Some boys were building houses, driving Mercedes, spraying money in clubs. But Ton was still stuck in the same dirty room, with cracked walls and a leaking roof. His laptop was old, his clothes faded, and his pockets empty. He was tired. His family's poverty weighed heavily on him. His father, once strong, was now weak and jobless. His mother sold vegetables in the market, but it was never enough. His younger siblings looked up to him, their eldest brother, to change their story. But what had he done for them? Nothing. As he sat in the dark, his frustration boiled over. He slammed the laptop shut and pushed it away. He grabbed his pillow and cried into it, his body shaking with anger and shame. "Why me?" he shouted. "Why can't I make it? Am I cursed?" His cries echoed in the small room. He had never felt so hopeless, so broken. Then suddenly, something strange happened. From the corner of the room, the mirror on his wall began to shimmer. At first, Ton thought it was his tears blurring his vision. He rubbed his eyes, but the shimmering grew brighter, glowing like fireflies trapped behind the glass. His crying stopped. He sat up slowly, staring. The mirror rippled, like water disturbed by a storm. Then, a figure began to form inside it. Ton's heart nearly stopped. It was tall, shadowy, its face hidden, its voice deep and smooth like honey mixed with thunder. "Ton," the figure called. Ton stumbled backward, hitting the wall. "Who are you?" he stammered. The figure smiled, though its mouth did not move. "I am the answer to your prayers. I have seen your tears, your pain, your hunger. I can give you everything you desire." Ton shook his head, fear gripping him. This is madness. Am I dreaming?" "You are not dreaming," the figure said firmly. "You are chosen." The mirror glowed brighter, and in the figure's hand appeared a shining gold chain. It sparkled so much that Ton had to shield his eyes. "This," the figure said, lifting the chain, "is the key to your destiny. As long as you wear this chain around your neck, you will never lack money. Wealth will chase you. Every deal, every scam, every business, it will succeed. You will rise above poverty. Your family will never suffer again." Ton's eyes widened. He stared at the chain as if it were heaven itself. His heart pounded. "But, what do you want from me?" he asked cautiously. The figure leaned closer, its voice a whisper that slithered into Ton's ears. Only one thing. You must never remove the chain. Not for a second. The day you take it off, everything will vanish. Every car, every house, every naira, gone. And you will be poorer than before. Ton blinked. That's all? Just never take it off. That is all, the figure said. Do you accept? Ton hesitated. His hands shook. He thought of his siblings who had no shoes for school. He thought of his mother who starved just to feed them. He thought of the boys in his street who mocked him for being a failure. His voice trembled. And if I refuse? The figure smiled turned cold. Then you will remain as you are. Poor. Hopeless. Forgotten. Ton swallowed hard. He wiped his tears. He looked at the golden chain again, so bright, so beautiful, so powerful. This was what he had been praying for. This was the miracle he had begged God for. Slowly, he nodded. I accept. The figure stretched out its hand, and the chain slipped through the mirror as though the glass had melted. With trembling fingers, Ton took it. The chain was warm, almost alive, pulsing with energy. He lifted it and placed it around his neck. The moment it touched his skin, a wave of power surged through him. He gasped. His eyes widened as images flashed before him, cars, money, houses, women, everything he had ever dreamed of. The figure's voice boomed one last time. Remember, never take it off. Enjoy your new life. And with that, the mirror went dark. The figure vanished. Ton stood frozen, his chest rising and falling quickly. He touched the chain, feeling its weight on his neck. His heart beat with both fear and excitement. The next morning, things began to change. For the first time in months, one of his clients sent money. Not small money, a huge sum. Ton stared at the alert on his phone, trembling. Then another client sent. And another. His inbox was full of replies. Deals that had failed suddenly worked. He was shocked, overwhelmed, almost afraid. He ran to his mother that evening, pressing money into her hands. Mama, take. Buy food, buy whatever you need. His mother's eyes widened. Ton, where did you get this? Ton only smiled. Don't worry, Mama. Your son has made it. Life was finally good. At first, it all felt like a dream. Ton's phone would not stop buzzing. Day after day, new alerts filled his bank account. Clients who once mocked him now begged him to take their money. His inbox overflowed, his fake businesses thrived, and his scams hit like magic. Within weeks, he was no longer the poor boy of yesterday. His room, once cracked and broken, was now empty. He had moved into a new apartment in the city. The walls were painted white, the floors tiled, the windows wide and shining with glass. The bed he once shared with cockroaches was replaced with a soft king-size mattress that swallowed him whole. His garage grew quickly. A black Lexus Jeep, a shiny Benz, and a Range Rover parked side by side, as if they had always belonged to him. The boys in his street who once mocked him now saluted him. They called him a chairman. They followed him to clubs, carrying bottles of champagne he bought with a single swipe of his card. Everywhere he went, people whispered his name. Girls threw themselves at him, their eyes shining with desire. In VIP lounges, he sat like a king, chains glittering on his neck, wads of cash in his hands. DJs shouted him out, and men envied him. For his family, life also changed. His mother no longer sat in the hot sun selling vegetables. His father, once beaten down by shame, now walked with pride. His siblings wore new shoes, new clothes, their school fees paid in full. They looked at Ton with awe, their big brother who had broken the chains of poverty. But Ton carried another chain, the gold one around his neck. At first, he loved it. It shone in the light, heavy enough to make people stare, yet beautiful enough to make them envy. He wore it everywhere, at clubs, at meetings, even at home. He never took it off. He couldn't. He remembered the figure's warning: the day you take it off, for even a second, you will lose everything. So he wore it proudly, like a crown. But as months passed, the crown began to feel like a curse. The chain grew heavier. At night, when he lay on his bed, it pressed against his neck. It itched, burning his skin, leaving red marks that spread slowly into bumps. Sometimes he tried to adjust it, pulling it this way and that, but the weight never left. He began to wake up in the middle of the night, sweating, scratching his neck until it bled. Still, he refused to take it off. How could he? Without it, he would lose everything: the cars, the houses, the respect, the luxury. He had tasted wealth. To go back to poverty now would be worse than death. So he endured. But the endurance came at a price. His neck began to swell. The skin darkened around the chain, like burnt flesh. Sleeping with it became unbearable. Sometimes, while dancing at clubs, he would suddenly feel dizzy, the weight of the chain dragging him down. People thought he was drunk, but in truth, he was in pain. His friends noticed, but they never asked. They were too busy enjoying his money. The envy of the streets grew too. Boys whispered behind his back. "This guy done you something," they said. "Nobody they blow like this overnight." But Tunde ignored them. He reminded himself of the figure's promise: as long as you wait, you will never lack. Still, doubts began to creep into his mind. Was this really life? To smile at parties while secretly scratching his bleeding neck. To buy cars he could barely enjoy because the chain weighed him down. To throw money at strangers while losing his peace. He tried to convince himself. It is worth it. It must be worth it. But the chain grew heavier. One night, after leaving a club, he sat in his car and pulled down the visor mirror. He looked at himself, his once bright eyes now red and tired, his skin pale, his lips dry. The gold chain glittered, but his face looked hollow. "Is this what I sold my soul for?" he whispered. The mirror gave no answer. At home, he lay on his bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. His mind was restless, his body itching, his heart pounding. He closed his eyes, but the voice of the mysterious figure echoed in his head: "Never take it off. Never." He grabbed the chain, squeezing it until his fingers hurt. Tears rolled down his cheeks. "How can something so beautiful feel like prison?" he cried. But no one heard him. His family slept in comfort, his friends partied in his name, the city admired him. Only Tunde knew the truth: the chain was slowly killing him. As weeks turned into months, the burden became unbearable. He thought of removing it many times, even reaching for the clasp. But fear stopped him. Fear of losing everything. Fear of being laughed at. Fear of returning to the poverty he hated. Yet deep inside, another fear grew stronger, that if he kept it on, he would die. That night, as he sat alone in his mansion, staring at his reflection, he whispered to himself, "What is wealth, if a man has no peace?" The chain glistened back at him, heavy and unyielding. For the first time since he accepted it, Tunde began to wonder if the day would come when he would choose poverty over this golden prison. But that choice was not far away. The chain of gold was waiting to finish its story. The days dragged on like heavy chains, and Tunde's body could no longer hide the truth. His once proud shoulders slumped. His neck carried ugly scars that spread down his chest. His eyes, once bright with the fire of ambition, now looked hollow and red from sleepless nights. No matter how much money he made, he could not escape the torment. The gold chain clung to him like a curse. It itched until his skin bled, it weighed until his bones ached, and it squeezed until his breath grew shallow. But still, he held on. He reminded himself of the promise. As long as you wear it, you will never lack. So he forced smiles at parties, threw bundles of naira in the air, and laughed with friends who did not notice the trembling in his hands. He bought more cars, drank more champagne, and surrounded himself with noise, as though drowning in pleasure would silence the torment. But the torment always returned when the night grew quiet. One evening, after a long day of fake smiles, Tunde sat alone in his mansion. The rooms were filled with everything money could buy: Italian furniture, golden chandeliers, soft carpets from faraway lands. Yet the house felt empty, like a tomb. He poured himself a drink, but his hands shook too much to hold the glass. He looked into the mirror across the room. His reflection stared back at him, gaunt and broken, the gold chain shining like fire around his neck. He whispered, "I am rich, but I am dying." Tears blurred his vision. He rubbed his neck, feeling the angry bumps that had grown worse. The chain dug into his flesh like a blade. "Why me?" he groaned. "Is this the price of wealth? To live like a king but suffer like a slave?" For days, he wrestled with the thought. Should he remove it? Could he really choose poverty again, after tasting power? He remembered the boys who once mocked him, the shame in his father's eyes, the hunger in his mother's voice. Poverty was a prison too. But so was this chain. The battle inside him grew heavier than the chain itself. Then one night, the breaking point came. Tunde lay in bed, twisting and turning. His skin burned, his neck itched like fire, his chest throbbed with pain. He could not breathe. The chain seemed tighter than ever, as though it wanted to choke the life from him. In desperation, he sat up, gasping. His hands flew to the clasp of the chain. "No," he told himself. "If I remove it, everything will be gone. My wealth, my power, my respect." But then he heard his mother's voice echo in his memory, "My son, this money you are chasing, will it kill you?" He saw her tears. He felt her prayers. He remembered the nights she stayed awake begging God to save him. And in that moment, Tunde broke. With trembling hands, he unclasped the chain. The moment it slipped from his neck, he felt a rush of cold air on his skin, as though a heavy stone had been lifted. He gasped, sucking in breath, his body trembling. For the first time in years, he felt light. But the relief lasted only seconds. Because the curse had been unleashed. The very next morning, Tunde's world began to unravel. The clients who once sent him money stopped replying. Some blocked him. Some reported him. His scams failed one after another. That week, fire mysteriously broke out in one of his houses. Flames devoured the walls, leaving only ashes. His cars were seized by creditors. His bank accounts bled until nothing remained. His friends, the ones who once cheered him, vanished. They stopped picking his calls. At the clubs, his name was no longer shouted. The DJs ignored him. The women who clung to him disappeared like smoke. Within weeks, the king of the streets became a beggar of respect. His neighbors whispered, so it was true. The wealth was not clean. His siblings, once proud of him, now avoided his eyes. His father shook his head in disappointment, while his mother wept. Tunde tried to fight it. He tried to put the chain back on, but when he searched for it, the gold had turned to dust. The mysterious figure never appeared again. He had made his choice, and the choice was final. The city that once bowed to him now mocked him. The mansions became empty ruins, the cars a memory, the gold a joke. One evening, he returned to the same small room he had left years ago. The cracked walls greeted him, the hard bed waited for him. His pockets were empty, his name a shadow. He sat in silence, staring at the ceiling. His body was weak, but for the first time in years, his mind was free. That night, he lay on his bed, closed his eyes, and slept peacefully. No itching. No pain. No whispers. No chains. When the morning sun rose and touched his face, Tom smiled faintly. He had nothing. No cars, no money, no houses. He was a laughingstock once again. But deep inside, he felt something wealth had never given him: peace. And so, the boy who once sold his freedom for gold learned the truth of life, that not all that glitters is worth wearing. Because sometimes, the heaviest chains are the ones that shine the brightest.